The year 2020 was unprecedented in many ways. Amidst the socially distant lives that the pandemic pushed us to lead, the smartphone emerged as the lifeline for everything. However, its excessive use has led to addiction among users, and that in turn is impacting human relationships and behavior. To sensitize people about this addiction and encourage them to choose their switch off time, Vivo India has initiated a campaign with a simple objective: bringing joy to people's life. Hello, and a very warm welcome to Vivo Presents Switch Off in association with Network 18. I am Mugdha Kalra. Vivo's third edition of the study, titled Impact of Smartphones on Human Relationships 2021, focuses on the behavioral impact on children due to the excessive use of mobile devices, both by children and their parents. I myself, being a parent of a preteen boy, can vouch on the impact of smartphones addiction on the physical and mental well-being of our children. And this trend seems to have further worsened in 2021, more so when the dependence on smartphones are manifold. Well, in the next 30 minutes, we shall deep dive into the key findings of the study, along with its impact on the kids and society at large. Joining me in the discussion today are Mr. Yogendra Sriramula, Director, Brand Strategy, Vivo India, and Clinical Psychologist, Esha Mehta. Welcome to Network 18. Mr. Sriramula, if I could start with you, would you like to take us through the key findings of the research? What are the important takeaways and relevance of this survey? As a parent, I'm definitely very keen to know.
Thank you, Mugdha, for having me on the show, first of all. Before I start explaining the results of the survey, I think I owe it to your audience to, first of all, tell them why we did the survey in the first place. So as a brand, Vivo places consumers at the center of everything we do, and our lighthouse is our brand purpose, which tells us that we exist in the first place to give our consumers joy through superior yet simplified technology. Now, when we observe that the same technology is probably working to the contrary, as a responsible corporate, we take it upon us to bring that voice out. And we did this for the first time in 2019, repeated it in 2020, and here we are in 2021 talking about this campaign. While 2019 and 2020 were broadly focused on the impact of smartphone usage on human relationships, 2021 double clicks on human relationships and, like you mentioned, specifically talks about the relationship impact on parents and children. I think the most important finding of the survey, which you spoke about, is that 3 out of 4 parents, that is 74% of the parents we spoke to, confessed that because of their excessive use of smartphones, their relationship with their kids has been hurt. To us, this has been a startling and really worrying fact. There are quite a few more facts that we have come across. I'll simplify this and probably explain them in 3 parts. The first part is usage trends. While more than 80% of the people have said that smartphones have helped them in multiple ways, whether it's improving productivity, helping remain connected with their loved ones, etc. But we have also seen that the usage which has gone up from pre-pandemic to the pandemic times has not come down, despite the fact that the world has resumed to a degree of normalcy right now. And this usage is not just because of work from home. There are other habits which have probably become addictive now. The second part of the survey that I want to focus on is the increase in usage of smartphone by parents and the impact it has had on kids, on the relationship with their kids. So 2 out of 3 parents have confessed to being distracted, to always being on their phones, even while they are with their kids. 86% of the parents, 7 out of 8 parents, have confessed to not setting the right example for their kids. So obviously this has had an impact on their relationship with their kids. Like I said, 3 out of 4 parents, the most startling finding of the survey, say that they think their relationship with their kids has been hurt because of their spending excessive time on the phone. Also, 3 out of 4 parents say that they feel irritated when they are so immersed in their smartphones and their kids come to ask them something. 69% of the parents say that they lose track of their surroundings and even their kids when immersed in smartphones. These are really stark findings in the second part of the survey. The third part of the survey is the psychological impact and the cognitive impact on children's development, both because of their parents' usage as well as their own increase in usage. 90% of the parents confess to the fact that they feel that their kids have gotten more aggressive. 9 out of 10 parents also confess that in moral and social backgrounds, their kids appear to be lacking. Now, these are really, really strong findings that we have, but the silver lining to this dark cloud is that 95% of the parents want to spend more uninterrupted time with their kids to help improve this. So we believe that this survey is the voice of these innocent minds asking their parents to moderate their usage of the phone and spend more time with them.
I have to confess, guilty as charged. I am one of those parents who find myself addicted to the smartphone, and also because, Mr. Sriramula, there is no cutoff time. The work from home usage of the phone, everything has gone beyond the 9 to 5 or those 8 hours. Can you share what else are the usage patterns as per the report?
So, Mugdha, you are bang on. So, the usage trends have gone up not just in terms of work from home. We also see an increase in the amount of time spent on OTT, on gaming, and on audio as well, as is social media. About 62% were the percentage of people who spent more than 1 hour on OTT in 2019. Now, post pandemic, that number has gone up by almost 20% to 79. Similarly, if we look at the number of people spending more than 1 hour on music or on gaming, that number has gone up from 41% to 59%. Also, what were earlier occasions where we spent time together as a family, they have been now replaced by this very individualistic, immersive device, which is a smartphone. 75% of the people confess to always being on their phones even when sitting with their families. 70% of the people confess to using their phones at the dining table, probably the most social of occasions in the Indian social fabric. So, all of this is surely going to impact the relationships at home. And in fact, the relationship on kids is something which we spoke about earlier.
I totally agree with that. In fact, as a parent and as a working professional, I do see so much change in my own usage habit. And a lot of us adults use the time to unwind with our smartphones. So that sort of also adds to the already brewing problem. But clinically speaking, Isha, what are the pros and cons of engagement with smartphones? Because life has become easier. Distances with other people, when we talk about them, smartphones make that easy to reach out to people, reach out to loved ones. Having said that, perhaps we are missing on the connection with the ones that are immediately next to us. But what are the pros and cons of engagement with the smartphone?
Hi, Mugdha. Thank you so much for having me over. As you rightly said, that we've the connection with our real world, our children, our family members has greatly reduced. What has increased is a deep attachment that we've developed with this device, which is called the smartphone. It has definitely had some adverse psychological and behavioral effects on our children as well as us. I'm sure you're experiencing it, and I'm experiencing it too. So to talk about, clinically, what the changes that I have noticed in my clients as well as their children, some very clear changes are mood shifts, anxiety, aggression, anger outbursts. They're usually irritable. They would come out and they would just be irritable. They're picking on fights, the way they are talking to each other, siblings are talking to each other, or the way they speak to us, their adults or caregivers around, be it even helpers, has changed. Some learning changes, the kind of learning that the children would do earlier, the pickup has become really slow, the pace is slow. We see attention deficit hyperactivity disorder also on a rise, which is ADHD. Also, what we see is children lacking attention and focus. This has also led to something called tunnel vision, wherein they're unable to process, experience, notice the regular changes that are happening in their environment. They are so engrossed, and when they are under stress and anxiety, they develop tunnel vision, which inhibits their ability to see things that normally happen around them. So I think mindfulness is something that we need to really follow, we need to be knowing first what are the behaviors that are not acceptable at all.
Right, right. I wanted to get Mr. Shiramula into this question. What do you have to say when you were talking to parents and when the research numbers came out? What did you see? Do the parents realize that this is happening, or what is the percentage that is totally blank to this, while there is a percentage which sort of understands it and then wonders, "Gosh, this is us, but what do we do about it?"
Mukta, that's a very, very interesting question. To be honest, I am myself the father of a 4-year-old. And if my child would start acting and he would probably be aggressive or he is not behaving appropriately with his cousins, the last thing I would think is that is because of my phone usage. I would probably think that something has gone wrong with him and I would try to discipline him, maybe scold him a little. Uh, but I think it needs a bit of introspection. It needs a bit of thinking within the parents to actually realize this. So, in the survey, what we realize is as you progress through the questions, parents start finding out that, okay, there could be a problem within us and it's not the kids who are primarily responsible for this behavior. And we hope that this survey helps parents come to this realization and helps them find joy in their family time in future.
Well, let's take the discussion forward. Mr. Shriramula, the Vivo's switch off ad campaign is a rare sight in smartphone advertising. Rather brave, I must say, because most of the smartphone brands' communication is built around new product launches, features, innovation, technology, etc. Why did Vivo choose such a cost led approach? What was the objective behind this?
I think at the end, at the center of everything that we do here at Vivo is our brand purpose. And our purpose says that we are here to create a world of joy through superior yet simplified technology for our users. Now, if we see something go wrong on this path that we have set for ourselves, then as amongst the top 5 smartphone makers in the world, it becomes our duty to talk about it. And with the value system that we here at Vivo have, there has never been any ambiguity, dichotomy. We have been unequivocally supportive of this campaign because we just think it's the right thing to do. And as long as we do the right thing, we know that the rest of the things will anyway fall in place.
Wonderful. On that note, let's slip into a short break here. But when we come back, let's talk about how we can address this issue and consciously switch off. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching our special Vivo Presents Switch Off in association with Network 18. Isha, the findings of the Vivo research also reveal that 74% of the parents have confessed on how excessive usage of smartphone has hurt relationship with their kids. I'm part of the 74%, by the way. What would be your tip for a parent like me, rather tips for parents like me on how to draw that fine balance with the technology?
Sure, Mugdha. So first, Mugdha, we need to understand a very, why is this happening? This is called distracted parenting, and this is where technoference is impacting parent-child relationship. Now, first, quickly, I'll just take you through how it is impacting the child's mind. As parents, we are less responsive verbally and non-verbally to children's bids for attention. We are missing out their bids for attention. One. Second, we are reacting sometimes harshly. Third, I am somewhere not even looking at the child's needs, or when by the time I respond, the need is over. The child doesn't even want it from me now. Also, the content or whatever I'm doing on my phone impacts my mood and my reaction to the child. To do this, now, the children, they want love, they want attention, they thrive when they feel safe. And how they feel safe? By getting attention. They will push our limits, Mukta. My boys are going to push my limits, your son is going to push you, and no matter how, I mean, they are going to do it and they will get our attention. How do they do it now? They start indulging in negative attention seeking behaviors. They start acting out. That is why we also see increase in child injuries, because they would also take up some risk taking activities. They would probably break a vase, or do something which is not required. So all of this is, we are saying, so first and foremost, let's start walking the talk. The kind of lectures, the kind of gyan we give to our children, okay, don't use the phone, don't do all of that, let's start following it.
Mr. Sriramula, Vivo's ad campaign comes at a time when smartphone usage and consumers' reliance on this piece of essential personal tech is at an all time high. Right from basic communication to school education to entertainment, the phone is currently at the center of it all. You think this campaign might have an adverse impact?
I think we as smartphone players, at least we at Vivo, want to see us play a more meaningful, a more useful role in the people's lives. And that's where I say that we at Vivo have taken it upon ourselves to be people who create a world of joy for our users. And from that perspective, I actually think we are on the right path. Whether it's our camera, whether it's the design, whether it's our operating system, our artificial intelligence, everything is created, everything is improved, designed, curated, keeping one thing in mind: how do we give more joy to people? I don't think we are here just to sell cold technology. Our objective is to give people an opportunity to live their lives with a lot more happiness and joy.
Let me take some closing comments now. Esha, what steps can be taken to improve the situation going forward?
The most important tips that I can probably give you are, setting some real boundaries, some healthy boundaries. Let's, specify work time, let's specify pleasure time, let's become a little old school. Let's have that reading hour, that reading nook in our house where maybe 2 3 of us, or the family members, just sit with a book and talk about it. Let's have a circle time on a Sunday where we just discuss feelings and connect with each other. This is going to have a long lasting positive impact on our children.
Mr. Sriramula, what has your journey been like, both at a personal and professional front, with the start of this campaign at Vivo?
It's a very personally touching campaign for me, Mukta. As I've mentioned, I'm also the father of a 4-year-old. And in fact, the idea for this campaign was something which emerged over a conversation I was having with my in-laws. And that was at a meal time too, and I was on my phone. So I too am guilty as charged. Uh, but it was during that conversation that we decided to probe this fact a little more. We weren't really sure of the kind of findings we would have. And our conversations internally were maybe we will see 30% of the parents talking about it, 40% of the parents talking about it. But the numbers we got, around 75% of the parents saying their relationships are getting hurt, 90% of the parents confessing their children lack adequate skills in social and moral spaces. So these really threw us off, and we felt that it was very important that we talk about them right now. At a personal level too, it has been a journey for me. At our home, we follow a few simple tips and tricks too. Uh, so I think the first thing, the most important thing for us is to realize that there is a problem which is happening, to acknowledge the problem. I think that is the number one step. And the survey is aimed at doing it. The film which you spoke about is aimed at making the information palatable for the parents to accept the problem which is happening right now. And I think step number 2 and 3 are actually a little easier, which is to find the right solutions and to implement them. Like you used technology to cut technology, like diamond cuts diamond. So even within Android phones, you have a lot of possibility to cut time at a total level, at an app level. Uh, you can slot in times when the phone goes off. So there are all these facilities which are available. So once we understand the problem, I think the measures are easier. The second thing is about understanding what kids like doing on their own. So we saw in our survey that about 32% of the parents would want to have some me time and hence give a device to their kids. About two-thirds of the parents confess that they would give their kids a device because they have to do household work or office work. So in situations like that, I think what is important is to figure out what kids like doing on their own. Maybe they like painting, maybe they like playing with dough, maybe they like building with blocks. So if we find out what their favorite activity is, it is easier to engage them without a device. Now, all of us here have grown up without smartphones and we still had joyous childhoods. So I don't think technology is the only thing which can give us joy. While one of the reasons we use technology is that. The third thing is to define tech-free zones or at least tech-free times at our house. Maybe no technology after 9:30 or 10 p.m. in the night. Maybe we don't use a phone when we are sitting together with the family in the living room or at our dining table. So these are simple things which all of us can do so that we strengthen our relationships, and particularly in connection with children, we are able to give them the love and the attention which they crave for, to build them into better people and better human beings in the future.
Well, thank you, Isha, Mr. Sriramula, for this very insightful chat and, of course, Vivo's very thoughtful campaign. I see how important it is to switch off and go on a digital detox and perhaps make it a habit and resolution of sorts in the new year. I hope you succeed in doing that. And today's chat was as thought provoking for you as it has been for me. Thank you for watching.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.